We are good to go?
Yes.
All right. So again, warmly welcome. This is my session. Thanks for coming. Before I came here, I asked a couple of you to send photos of your work team to me, but I'm pretty sure I didn't mention that I will put them to my presentation. So this is now the photo you sent to me from your work, but which one is actually your photo? Can you show me with your hand if the left one or the right one is more like your working environment? Are you working like this or are you working like the left one? Can you show me? Just raise your hand. Someone is showing this. Is anyone on the other side? Nice. Sometimes working in the teams, working in the organization looks like the left photo, unfortunately, right? And there's a word, it's very difficult English word, entangled. And here is a description of the word. So it means that in a group of people or in any system, it's super complexly interconnected, so that whatever you do to the system, like talk to one people or someone does something, it always has unexpected results. The behavior of a group is affected by everything that you do. So it has unpredictable consequences, whatever you do. This is the translation from my friend. As you see, ChatGPT tried to explain to me what is entangled. So our organizations are entangled. Teams are entangled. So everything is connected. Everything affects everything. And this is actually the problem we are here to solve. How to manage a team, how to manage an organization that is entangled. That's the translation of my title, Untangling. It means like getting this knot of interconnected behaviors clarified, more easy to understand. People form teams, and people are difficult because they don't act predictable ways. It's like shouting to your flower, like grow better, grow beautiful. Does it help? It's the same thing if you tell to your team, self-organize, communicate better. It doesn't work that way. You can't manage people. You can't command them to do things, because then what really happens is often very different from what you expected. And how to handle this complexity? We are coaches, scrum masters, managers. We want to improve organizations. But organizations are complex adaptive systems that react unpredictably to anything that we try to do. So what can we do then? I will give you the end result of this session in the beginning, so that if you are super busy, you can just watch this slide and then you can go to grab some coffee. This is where we will end. The three things. First, if you are trying to manage complex system, you should not set goals in the distant future. In the perfect world, this is how we look like. Instead, you should focus on the potential of your current situation. So where can we develop from this point, instead of trying to get somewhere in the future. That's the first point. Second point, instead of making big change management decisions, let's reorganize the whole thing, make small adjustments to the system that invite better behavior from the people, and through those adjustments you will find better answers. I see in my eyes a mixing table. You have a band there in the stage playing music and the sound is terrible. So what do? You don't throw everything away and start from scratch, but you start to adjust different parameters of the sound to make it better. It's exactly what you can do as a scrum master and a coach in the organization. You start to adjust small parameters of the environment to invite better, more wanted behavior. And the third thing is that you can't force people to change. So try to sense the flow, what is more likely to be happen, instead of trying to push change that is rejected by the people. So this is the end result of this session. If you're happy, then it's totally okay to go back to your coffee table and discussions. No, anyone leaving? All right, let's go forward. I'm using an allegory of hiking here as well. Like you have a group of people who go to the national park, trying to find a proper road. You will see lots of pictures of hikers trying to decide what to do next. So I will use that as an allegory. But the real environment is our working environment, where we have those teams and organizations that we want to improve. So 3 steps. This is my big promise. After this 45 minutes, 40 left, you will learn how to understand the present. What are the influencers that create the current behavior of your organization? So based on what caused the current thing, then you can decide what you can adjust to make it improved version of your organization. Let's start with 2 theories. Every good speech has a couple of theories in background, right? This comes from German social psychologist Kurt Lewin, and it explains that behavior is not just based on who you are, but it's also where are you. Environment affects our behavior. The P is the persona. It's you with your background. It's some employee with his or her education, with his experience and feelings and emotions and everything. And E is an environment. So you put a person to a company, and the company starts to affect how this person behaves. But that gives us a door. If we want people to behave as a team, for example, Scrum is a teamwork framework. So if we want to see self-organizement, we want to see empowered people, we want to see decisions and brave choices, then possibly instead of managing people and commanding people to make those things, we can change the environment so that people start to behave as a team. This is the base of this theory. So environment gives us a key to alter, improve, develop the behavior of the people in our influence area. The second theory comes from famous Welsh scientist Dave Snowden, Cynefin framework is one of his most popular frameworks. And Dave often, in every keynote he repeats this sentence. All of evolution tends to energy minimization. If the energy cost of a good thing is lower, so if it takes less energy from you to do the good thing than to do something else, something bad, then you will more likely choose the good behavior. So the question is, what kind of stuff affects our energy consumption? What decreases energy cost? What kind of things in our environment, in our work, could make it easier for people to behave certain way? And this is question to you now. If you are sitting next to someone, have a short chat with a person next to you. If you are sitting alone or if you are sitting at home with your computer only, then you can just have a small time to think by yourself. What makes it easier in general? Go hiking, go running, go to a meeting. What makes it easier to do something than doing something else? You have 1 minute time for this discussion. Go on. Any examples? Just talk. I'm trying to help. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I hope you found something, because this also connects the topic to your personal work. There are lots of stuff that decrease energy cost, meaning it's easier for me to decide to do this than to decide to do this. So I will decide to do the easier thing. And examples of those helpful things might be good tools, not bad tools though. Some tools are terrible, not mentioning any specific, no, there are poor tools that actually make it more difficult to maintain our backlogs or connect with other people. But helpful tools might make it easier. If we are skilled to do something, it makes us more likely to do this thing than to something else that is new to us. There are habits that bring us towards certain road again and again, even if it's from the observer perspective, it might look like harder way, but you have a habit of going every time that way. And then there might be some policies or roles or experience or communities, like we all have decided to go this way, so that's easier for me to do that, etc., etc. We will use this as a trigger to affect people's behavior. So what basically can be managed? I claimed in the beginning that people can't be managed. You can't command people to do good things, but you can manage the structures of people, like how to form teams, how to form business units, how to make people communicate with each other, offer them tools to work from home, to interact, like virtual whiteboards, everything. Then you can actually monitor what happens so that you understand your organization. It starts from a scrum master who attends the meeting, not saying anything, but watching how people behave. What can they see? What patterns? Somebody almost said something, but stayed silent. Why? And then you can observe this kind of stuff in your team. And supporting structures, meaning, okay, let's use Scrum, for example. That helps us to get to the rhythm of the development, so we don't have to take care of it. We can have those reviews regularly. It is a supporting structure that helps our organization to bypass some problems. So these things are manageable by us. And the last thing before we jump to the actual process is, how do people make decisions? Because it is about decisions. How do I contribute to my teamwork? How do I do this and that? Some things come from the fact that you are allowed to do certain decisions. Some things come from the energy cost we already discussed about. It's easier to me to do this decision than something else, so I will choose the easier version. And then it also strongly is affected by the group identity. I belong to the group of software engineers. I'm proud of my technological background. I'm proud of my skills. So that affects strongly to my decisions. I will vote for the things that our group would do in my position. So people that identify like we do will also affect our decisions. To help you think through the theory I'm explaining, or the like practical part of it, I encourage you to select some context from your work, something you would like to improve. It might be your team, it might be your client, it might be some sub-organization where you work, and what is the change you would like to see there. It is individual task. Just if you put everything that I will explain later to that context, it helps you to remember the whole process. So if you are at home and you have a paper and pen, you can write down just the name of the team or whatever, but you select something and then you can reflect everything that I will show in next slides to this context. It will help you to get it to the point. Direction of movement means that you are not figuring out a perfect future for your team because you don't know what is the perfect future. You decide the direction. We want to go to that direction, improve the quality, better discussion culture, better communication with the clients, better understanding of end users. That's direction. And then you can start to guide your team towards that direction. All right. It starts by describing the present. So understanding what has caused the current situation. If you voted to belong to the organization in the first picture on the left side, with everything very mixed feelings and everything and very entangled, then what are the reasons why this situation is so difficult in the first place. So mapping the present is the first step. And we start by listing who are involved. This is the first step in this new innovative approach I was claiming to present here. So who are involved? Who as a people, what kind of roles there are, what kind of decision-making forums like steering committees or board of directors or other companies who are involved. So basically anyone who acts in this system you selected. Examples. We have Jane. Jane is a product owner. We have a testing company. It's not in our organization, but they are testing the results our engineers are building. So it's sub company. Very common way of doing testing in Japan, I have heard. Our company CEO is very interested in our product development, so let's put him there. We have a role of test user. It varies who will come to test our product. We have lots of test users, but this is something that strongly affects our development. We have a leadership team. Agile coach sometimes comes to help us. We have admin team who offers us servers and databases and network connections, and we need their help often. And then there's a project manager. Hey, what project manager does in agile organization? Okay, we have those project managers in many organizations, so let's put them here. We list all who are involved here. That's the first step. Second thing that we list is what kind of team structures, what kind of containers. Container means where people belong to. Where do they go to work? What is binding them, like who they think is us, and then there are other people. What kind of enablers of interactions we have? Example, Slack, and are allowed to use it for communication that allows people from home and from other offices to communicate with us, and we can share information with that tool. Miro board is another, like this virtual whiteboard. Miro board is used to have our product backlog and team war room there. Everything what we agree and collaborate is visualized there. We have a club for, this is just like a random example. We have club in our company for employees that are single parents. It's just like, you see the effect if someone is in that situation, living alone with a kid, it affects very strongly many aspects of work life. But that's one container where someone might belong to. There is this team from testing company. Development team is our company. Remote work has certain rules and policies that restrict, for example, accessing certain files from home, but then they have to be figured out some other way of accessing them. We have UX designers community of practice. They will meet occasionally to improve UX user experience design work in our company, etc. We have a regulated domain where we are working, so legislation comes to the picture. It affects how we are allowed to communicate. We are all working at Tokyo headquarters office, and when we are there, then we are allowed to talk more freely with the topics. It is a certain situation that allows us to interact differently than when we are in remote work. We have always done this way. That we have some habits, we have some history in our organization that affects our behavior. This is the second step, listing things where people belong to, how they communicate with each other. That's the second step. The third thing is what makes us who we are in the work context. So what kind of processes, rituals, repeating stuff do we have? Daily Scrum happens almost every day, right? We have company onboarding process. That means everyone who comes to work with us goes through certain introductions to our company rules and things that makes us certain ways, because policies and practices, they come from onboarding. Team has weekly retrospectives. That's repeating thing. Every month we have a company dinner organized for certain people at least. It brings this group of people together and it's a discussion forum for them. A company has every year a New Year party. It just happened and it allowed also other teams to discuss with our team. It's a repeating thing that happens and affects our behavior. We have an evaluation process for subcontractors, and that certainly affects the task team behavior because they have gone through the evaluation process that introduces our company policies to them. Many people from our company have gone through certified Scrum Master training, so they are expected to know something about Scrum, for example. And the UX designers meet every week. We have the process of acceptance testing where the test users come and click our application to make it better quality. Project have kickoffs, etc., etc. So listing such things that people go through is the third thing. And the last thing, fourth thing that we remember, we are now collecting things that affect how the current situation has been established in the first place. So the last thing is what kind of ideas or thought leaders or influencers we can recognize. Like we have a Scrum Master who is observing our team, not doing the actual development work, but observing. It changes people's behavior that someone is observing what they are doing. It changes the dynamics in the meetings when there is a facilitator present. Or there was a conference talk about change management. Can you imagine? It changes the behavior of the people who were present in the talk, and now they have new vocabulary and they have new thoughts when they go back to their work, and they think differently than before the talk. There is a trusted senior architect in the team. Competitors are suspiciously successful. That affects us as well. Team lead is having regular evaluations of the project. We have super inspiring CEO in our company who has lots of ideas and visions and who wants to drive our company to be a leader in our business, in our country, etc. Idea of cross-functional team popped up from somewhere. We have now those silos where we work in testers and designers and hardware team and software team, but we have been influenced, we have been affected by the idea, we have read and heard, how about connecting people from different disciplines and become one new team? And this kind of stuff affects our behavior as well. So this is fourth and the last one. We started by listing the people, listing the team structures and connecting tools. Then we listed processes and rituals and repeating things. And the last one was thought leaders, such ideas that might affect our behavior that are present in our organization. And from these four, we can add much, much more. The most important question here is that try to list things that you see from your perspective that are causing the current behavior in your organization. This is a typology from Dave Snowden that lists different aspects of influencing factors. You can get back to this in my slides later to study more. I'm skipping this now. As a result of the first part, you have listed those people and connectors and containers and influencers and rituals there. And now we move to the second part. So what can we change? Remember the mixing table. What are the parameters that we actually want to adjust in our organization mixing board? And we listed them by these different categories. And now we are mapping them based on how difficult are they to change, based on energy, how much energy it takes to change something. Changing legislation might be a huge job, or regulative rules, but adding a new meeting or dropping a reporting meeting or buying a new tool, there are things that are super cheap, fast, and low cost. Energy here means time, money, resources, whatever is needed to do a change in one parameter. So mapping the elements based on how much effort and time it takes to change them. Effort can be several things. And here we go. We listed those influencers here in this map based on how difficult it is to change something. We don't know yet what we want to change. We are now listing how difficult it is to change something. And sometimes it happens that we can't agree on something. We might go deeper in such situation. Like we have a Jane who was product owner. What does it mean to change her? There are several aspects in her work that might need to put in separate areas in the map. So Jane is a busy single mother, so she can't participate all the meetings because of taking care of her child. Then that's one aspect. Another thing, Jane has a background, so not all technical stuff are very well understood by her. That's a second aspect. Third aspect might be that Jane is a product owner, but actually she has no power at all because all the decisions are made by a steering committee and she has to ask permission to almost everything. That's a third. So if something appears difficult to put to the map, split it to smaller chunks so that it makes sense. And as a result, we go back to our map and then we have different areas here. Something that is super difficult to change. So that's nothing we should focus on. That's beyond our control. We can't manage such things reasonably. Second area is that it's pretty tough, but perhaps if we get some permission from a management, we might do something to this. And then there is another corner here that might change so fluently that we might need to monitor if some changes happen there without us doing anything. We might even want to stabilize something, that we put effort so that these things don't change, like people leaving from our company. That is not something we want to see, but sometimes situations come that we are losing talents and we have to act accordingly. But in between lays an actionable area. The things that are within reasonable cost of energy and within reasonable time to change. And as a bonus, we can mark some high impact influencers here. So what if we change this or that, that would give a gentle push towards the wanted direction to our team. So this might be something we want to start changing. So what do we mean with the change? We should plan actions. This map has now helped us to understand what we can change reasonably. So what kind of change we are talking about? It might be that easier. We want that CEO to visit team more often, and let's see how that affects. Give some higher management time to the team to give them a clearer vision. Or then clarifying the roles, adding some user testing to improve quality, dropping project management role because that feels weird and where we are trying to do it more agile way. Investigate what makes our competitor successful. Opening backlog, internal documentation for the subcontractor testers might be one thing we can do. Organize childcare for the busy people. But these are ideas, what we can do if we decide this is a good idea to do to the things that influences our behavior. Build a team room in HQ, the headquarters, so that the team has a place to come together to discuss about the product. Organize a CSM training for the rest of the team. Might be something we should probably do. So this kind of stuff, whatever comes to your mind, this kind of changes we could make to the influencing factors, and then there is more. Come back to the slides again, and there is more explanation of this different types of action things. Just remember, smaller is usually better. This is super good sentence, so I will read it aloud so it will be properly translated as well. The best way to solve a seemingly big, complex problem is to experiment with lots of small changes, small nudges to the system. Learn from the results and continue until big problem disappears. So instead of trying to solve the big problem at once, that is a huge effort, takes lots of time. Don't do that. Instead of that, try to solve smaller problems around the big problem until the big problem disappears. So instead of let's move everyone to the same country, work in the same room and make them use pure by the book Scrum. That is not our approach. Instead of that, we have those small adjustments that help people to do the right decisions in their daily work. And the last thing I promised, timing matters. This is a complex system. Team is a complex environment. Organization of human beings is a complex environment. So it matters when you are doing something. This is most terrible sentence in the whole presentation. Complex adaptive systems are dispositional, not causal. What in earth might that mean? This is a direct a quotation from Dave Snowden, who uses lots of terribly difficult words. And the dispositional here means that you don't know before you do something what is the effect in the team behavior. But there are tendencies, propensities. These are also difficult words. Like, it's more likely that something happens in the team than something else. There are right times for certain changes, and there are wrong times for certain changes. For example, organization just has been restructured. New teams have been established, new roles. People are just recovering from that stressful experience. That's not probably good time to introduce new team structure, even if you want to do that. Wrong times, right times, be very wise what you're doing. So from these actions we planned previously, possibly there are a couple of them that have right time just now. They are easy enough to do just now, and then you can check what happens, and based on that you can change your map, and then you act based on the new results. So this is iterative thing. You observe what happens in your organization, you try to understand where we are now, and then you plan your actions accordingly. Bonus is in the slides. You can read it later. You can do stuff with those actions to make it more systematic. The most important row is the last one. Iterate everything. This is not one-time thing. This is an approach where we learn to understand the environment and its influence to the team, and then adjusting the environment, we will improve the system. My name is Teemu. I come from Finland. I was a software developer and a manager in the beginning of my career, and last 10 years I've been working as a Scrum trainer. I'm a certified Scrum trainer by Scrum Alliance. And this is my LinkedIn invite. Feel free to connect me. And also later, I'm super open to questions, challenges, follow-up questions of the session. So send me a LinkedIn message. We can use different translation systems to understand each other better. And the second word there is my family name. If someone wants to try to pronounce it, feel free. But I will put it here now in the recorded video so you can check it later. It's Hyyryläinen. Yeah, I work for a company, Reactor, and this is some facts of our company. So this is founded in Helsinki 20 years ago, capital of Finland, and now we are spread all over the world. We also have an office here in Tokyo, Ebisu, and lots of good people working there. And we are organizing regular meetups for digitalization employees for different companies. So warmly welcome to check our website and join there. This is the summary I promised you, and I showed you already this in the beginning. So what we learned was check the current situation and where you can go from that, not dreaming of the potential futures that never happen. Make small adjustments instead of big changes and go with the flow. Thank you. Yeah, I used all the time. If you have any questions, come back to me in LinkedIn. Thank you.